Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going deep into the world of neuromarketing. It's pretty fascinating stuff.
It really is. It's like this hidden world influencing our decisions every day.
Exactly, and we'll be drawing on Kenny Martin's insights from, his episode on the dark art of neuromarketing.
Yeah, he dives into how brands use these techniques to basically reshape industries and, steer consumer choices.
So let's start with the basics. What exactly is neuromarketing?
Well, you can think of it as using science to kind of decode how our brains react to, marketing and advertising.
Okay, so it's about understanding the brain and how it responds to certain stimuli.
Right, and then brands can use that knowledge to, nudge us towards their products.
So it's like they're tapping into our subconscious desires.
Exactly. They're trying to create marketing that's super effective by appealing to our deepest instincts.
I see. So it's not just about creating catchy slogans or flashy visuals anymore. It's about going deeper.
Precisely. For example, have you ever noticed how certain fast food chains use red and yellow in their branding?
Yeah, like McDonald's with those golden arches.
Exactly. Well, there's a reason for that. You see, red is known to stimulate appetite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it also creates a sense of urgency.
So, you gotta have it now.
Exactly. And yellow triggers feelings of happiness and optimism.
Interesting. So those colors are already subconsciously making you think about grabbing a burger.
Right. It's not just about aesthetics. It's about creating a specific psychological response.
Wow. I never really thought about it that way. So they're playing with our emotions.
Absolutely. And it goes beyond just color, too. Have you ever heard of scent marketing?
Scent marketing. That sounds interesting. What is that? Like they pump the smell of freshly baked cookies into stores?
Well, yeah, sometimes. But think about luxury car manufacturers. They actually patent that new car smell.
Hold on, they patent a smell.
Yeah, they want to evoke a specific sensory experience. One that screams luxury and excitement.
So even before you take a test drive, they're already influencing you with the smell.
Exactly. They're appealing to your sense of smell to create a positive association with the brand.
That's incredible. I never realized how much our senses influence our buying decision.
It's powerful stuff, and it doesn't stop there. Retail store, they use vanilla scents in lingerie sections.
Really?
Yeah, to create a relaxing and sensual atmosphere. And then you walk into a luxury department and you might smell leather and wood,
You feel sophisticated.
Exactly. It's all very carefully calculated.
So they're basically orchestrating this whole sensory symphony to make us spend more.
Pretty much. And we haven't even talked about sound design yet.
Sound design? You mean like the music they play in stores?
Exactly. Have you ever noticed that slow tempo music playing in supermarkets?
You know what? Now that you mention it, I think I have.
Well, there's a reason for that. Studies show that this type of music can actually increase sales.
Seriously?
Yeah, it makes shoppers move more slowly, giving them more time to browse and potentially, make impulse purchases.
So they're literally controlling the taste of our shopping with music.
In a way, yes. And have you ever noticed water sounds playing near the produce section?
I don't think so.
It's a subtle way to make those vegetables seem extra fresh and appealing.
It's like they're constantly bombarding us with subconscious cues.
It's all about understanding how our brains work and, using that knowledge strategically. But perhaps the most powerful tool in neuromarketing is storytelling.
Storytelling? You mean like those commercials that tell a heartwarming story?
Exactly. Those stories trigger the release of oxytocin in our brains, also known as the trust hormone.
So we're not just watching an ad. We're experiencing a story that makes us feel connected to the brand.
Right. It's a very effective way to build trust and loyalty.
So a well-crafted story can actually make us more likely to buy a product.
Think about it. Haven't you ever felt more drawn to a brand after seeing an ad that told a compelling story?
I think I have, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see how that would work. It's all very fascinating, but also a little bit creepy.
I know what you mean. It's like they're peering into our minds and figuring out how to manipulate us.
Exactly. It makes you wonder what other tricks they have up their sleeves.
Well, that's what we're here to find out. Let's take a deeper dive into some specific examples of neuromarketing in action.
Okay, I'm ready to have my mind blown.
Let's do it. We were talking about Kenny Martin and how brands are using these neuromarketing tactics. Well, one area where this is happening is with eye tracking technology.
Eye tracking? Like they're watching where our eyes go when we're shopping.
Exactly. They use special cameras and software to see what catches our attention and for how long.
So it's like they're spying on our eyeballs.
Not exactly, but they are analyzing our visual behavior to see what influences our choices.
Okay, so how does that work in practice?
Well, let's say a retailer wants to know why a certain product isn't selling. They can use eye tracking to see if people are even noticing it on the shelves.
So if it's hidden away in a corner, they'll know to move it to a more prominent location.
Right. Or maybe the packaging needs a redesign to make it stand out more.
So they're using science to guide our attention to the products they want us to buy.
Precisely. It's like creating a visual hierarchy that influences our subconscious decisions.
I see. And eye tracking can also be used to test the effectiveness of ads, right?
Absolutely. They can see which parts of an ad people are actually paying attention to and what messages resonate the most.
So they're basically creating ads that are scientifically engineered to grab our attention.
You could say that, but remember, neuromarketing isn't about mind control.
But it is about influencing our behavior in ways we might not even be aware of.
True, but it's more about understanding how our brains work and using that knowledge to create marketing that is more effective and engaging.
Okay, but still, the idea that our eye movements can be tracked and analyzed to manipulate our buying decisions is a little unsettling.
I understand your concern. There are definitely ethical considerations that need to be addressed when it comes to neuromarketing. But let's move on to another fascinating application of this technology, facial coding.
Facial coding. What's that?
It's a technique that uses software to analyze facial expressions.
You mean like reading our emotions?
Exactly. They can see if someone is happy, sad, surprised, or disgusted just by looking at their face.
So they're using our emotions as data points.
In a way, yes. By tracking facial expressions, they can get a sense of how people are really feeling about a product or an ad.
I can see how that could be useful for market research, but it also feels a bit invasive.
It's definitely a powerful tool, but it needs to be used responsibly. For example, imagine a company is testing different versions of a commercial.
Okay.
They can use facial coding to see which version elicits the most positive emotional responses from viewers. You know, which one makes people smile or laugh the most.
So they're choosing the ad that triggers the most positive feelings.
Right, because positive emotions are often associated with a higher likelihood of purchasing.
Interesting. So they're not just trying to sell us a product, they're trying to sell us a feeling.
Precisely. And that's the power of neuromarketing. It's about tapping into our deepest emotions and desires to create connection with the brand.
But isn't that still a form of manipulation, even if it's done with good intention?
Well, that's where the ethics come in. Neuromarketing techniques can be used for good or for bad.
For good. How so?
Think about public service announcements. They can use neuromarketing to create campaigns that are more effective at encouraging positive social change.
So it's not all about selling sugary drinks and expensive cars.
Not at all. It can be used to promote healthy habits, encourage environmental sustainability, and even save lives.
Okay, so it's a double-edged sword. It all depends on how it's used.
Exactly. And that's why it's crucial to have open and honest conversations about the ethics of neuromarketing.
I completely agree. We need to make sure these powerful techniques are being used responsibly.
Absolutely. And that's why companies like the digipalms.com are so important.
The digipalms.com, what do they do?
They specialize in integrating neuromarketing insights into ethical and impactful campaigns.
So they're helping businesses use these techniques for good.
Exactly. They believe that neuromarketing can be used to create genuine value for the customer, not just to manipulate them.
That's great to hear. So there are companies out there who are taking a more mindful approach to neuromarketing.
Absolutely. And that's a very encouraging sign.
Well, I'm definitely feeling a lot more informed about the world of neuromarketing now. It's a complex and fascinating field.
It certainly is. And it's constantly evolving as our understanding of the brain grows.
Speaking of growth, what's next for neuromarketing? What are some of the emerging trends?
Well, one of the most exciting areas is the use of artificial intelligence and brain-computer interfaces.
Brain-computer interfaces. That sounds like science fiction.
It might sound futuristic, but it's becoming increasingly real. Researchers are developing ways to directly interface with the brain, allowing them to measure brain activity and even influence thoughts and emotions.
Wow, that's incredible, but also a little scary. What does that mean for neuromarketing?
Well, imagine being able to track people's emotional responses to marketing stimuli in real time, or even predict what someone is going to buy before they even know it themselves.
That's both fascinating and terrifying.
It's definitely a development that raises ethical concerns, but it also shows the incredible power of neuroscience and its potential to revolutionize the way we understand the world.
It seems like the line between marketing and mind control is getting blurrier by the day.
It's a valid concern. But remember, technology is a tool. It can be used for good or evil. It all depends on the intentions of the people using it.
That's a good point. So it's up to us to ensure that these powerful tools are used responsibly.
Exactly. We need to be aware of the risks, but also open to the possibilities. Neuromarketing, when used responsibly, can be a powerful force for positive change.
I think that's a great note to end on for this part of our deep dive into the world of neuromarketing. It's been an incredible journey so far.
It's been my pleasure, and I hope it's encouraged you to think more critically about the marketing messages you encounter every day.
It definitely has. I'm going to be looking at the world with a whole new perspective from now on.
That's the spirit. Stay curious and keep asking questions. You know, it's amazing how much neuromarketing is already happening all around us. It's not just some futuristic concept.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like all those subtle cues and tactics we talked about are already shaping our choices.
And Kenny Martini really brought that to light in his episode, the dark art of neuromarketing.
He did. It's fascinating, but also a little unsettling to think how easily our decisions can be influenced.
That's why awareness is so important. When you understand how neuromarketing works, you can start to see through those tactics and make more conscious choices.
So what can we do about it? What's the takeaway for our listeners?
Well, next time you're shopping, take a moment to pause and really think about your decision. Are you buying something because you genuinely need it, or are you being swayed by clever marketing?
That's a great point.
Right.
We need to be more mindful of the influences around us. But what about businesses? How can they use neuromarketing ethically?
That's a key question. Ethical neuromarketing is about being transparent and respectful. It's about using these insights to create real value for the customer, not just to manipulate them into buying something they don't need.
So it's about building trust and fostering long-term relationships, not just chasing quick sales.
Exactly. It's about creating a win-win situation for both the business and the customer. And that's what companies like the digipalms.com are all about.
Yeah, we mentioned them earlier. They specialize in helping businesses use neuromarketing ethically.
Right, exactly. They believe that neuromarketing can be a powerful force for good when it's done right.
So for any of our listeners who are interested in learning more about ethical neuromarketing, be sure to check out thedigipalms.com.
Absolutely. They're a great resource for businesses and consumers alike.
Well, this has been a truly eye-opening deep dive into the world of neuromarketing. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your insights. It's been a pleasure.
The pleasure was all mine.
And to all our listeners out there, stay curious. Keep exploring and questioning the world around you. And we'll catch you on the next episode of The Deep Dive.
I'm Christina Moy, and thanks for tuning in to another engaging session on the DigiPalms podcast. Don't leave just yet. Subscribe to join our community and never miss out on our cutting-edge discussions. See you next time.